Hey everybody, welcome on in. Time to get it off the old chest. That race sucked. Now, let's be clear and honest why it sucked. First things first, the atmosphere of that race, pre-race, post-race, even just in general, great. 100%. Track did a great job. Awesome atmosphere. Track surface, wore out, sure, but awesome. I mean, good racing surface. So, in no way am I trashing North Wilkesboro with this rant. But I am going to trash this car in front of me. Not Kyle Larson, but the next-gen car. I hate that car on short tracks. I hate it. I've hit my boiling point. I am sick and tired of this car on short tracks. Look, I've been sort of gritting my teeth for the last 2 years on this car with its sequential shifting. I don't even care how you shift. I don't care if it's sequential. Okay, I hate the 5 gears. I hate that they're shifting at literally every track that's not a mile and a half or bigger. I think shifting at all those tracks really ruins the entire racecraft of learning how to get around Martinsville. You don't really have to learn how to really get into the corner well, rotate your car, and get a good run off the corner when you can just run in there, slam the brake, hit the guy in front of you, downshift, hammer the gas, and go right out of the corner because this car sucks. I mean, it does. It just sucks. Let's talk about what made it suck. All right, let's start with Wednesday night. Wednesday night, 2 sets of late model races. All of them. Yeah, all of them. They were all very good to watch. Sure, Bubba Pollard sort of walked away towards the end of that race, but I didn't care because you could still see that they were all struggling just to get good grip coming up out of the corners each time. So watching guys wheel cars on the edge of control is fun to do, right? So those races were both good. Truck race Saturday. Oh my gosh, that was one of the best truck races I've ever seen. It was fantastic. The racing all day long was really, really good in that truck race. And it could have ended on the long green one. It could have ended with the green-white checker. It didn't matter. The racing was great. And then the Cup cars hit the track. And boy, did they suck. I mean, they sucked. The heats were terrible. The rain tires provided us a little bit of entertainment. The softer tires allowed them to get after each other a little bit more. But boy, once they put on the racing slicks, I mean, it was single file choo-chooing all the way around. Took about 50 laps before anyone could really start to make moves on anyone else because the tire fall off was all but non-existent. And just, it sucked. I mean, this car just sucks on short tracks. Aero push. We saw Denny Hamlin earlier in the race have a giant aero push trying to get behind the 14. Yeah, you heard me right. Aero push at a short track. The aero is, why we are having aero push at short tracks is beyond me. Why they decided to take off 10% of the downforce instead of just take away as much as you can. I'll never understand. You had the option in your hand of let's make a small adjustment, let's make a big adjustment, and you said let's make the smallest adjustment we can. Well, guess what? You have the smallest result you could get, which is not much. The car just sucked. I mean, the car was straight up terrible. I was watching the timing and scoring. Lap times fell off 1.2 seconds over the course of a 90 lap run, 1.2 seconds. That's unacceptable. That is so bad. For as abrasive as a surface as North Wilkesboro is to only fall off 1.2 seconds, that's awful. Not just that, Kyle Larson wins the race. Best car all night, deserves to win the race. He does a burnout the entire length of the track. He does an entire lap burnout all the way around the track and parks at the start-finish line. His tires were not even flat. He burned out on the most abrasive surface in NASCAR an entire lap, and his tires didn't even go flat. These tires were bricks. They did not wear out near enough. And sure, you can say, well, they wore out 1.2 seconds worth. Yeah, that doesn't do you all that much good. Okay, 1.2 seconds of wear over 90 laps, that's not good enough. It's not. And man, I've reached my limit with this car. And it's for many reasons. I mean, we can go back to last week in Kansas. Wheels falling off. This single lug thing is bothering me from the standpoint of they don't seem to think it's an issue that wheels are falling off these race cars. Eric Jones lost a wheel in turn 2 yet last week at full speed under green. Okay, now obviously nothing happened. Everyone spun or collected it and kept going. So we look at it now and just say it was a caution. But how long until are we going to ignore this issue before someone actually has to get hurt? Is it going to take that where somebody loses a wheel, at a fast track and then it gets hit and knocked clean up into the grandstand? Like, there's a reason we didn't want wheels coming off of race cars, and it was because people literally got killed. And so they made it very, very evident we do not want any wheels of any kind coming off of race cars. And it seems like that short-term memory is hitting the industry, because wheels are falling off. Not tonight. We didn't have any tonight, but they've been falling off, and they haven't seemed very aggressive to try and fix that problem. So like I said, I have a lot of hatred for this car. I hate the number location. Whoop-de-doo. I don't, that's a small thing. I hate the gutless motors having absolutely no power. Gutless that's Christopher Bell's quote, not mine. The extra wide tire for extra grip, which makes all the racing worse. No interliners in the tires, so if you have a flat, you just lose the car and destroy it because you can't have it. You have no chance to save it. It also gets you stuck on the racetrack. You become the car gets beached because it has a flat tire. Like, all of those things are just downright ridiculous because interliners was a safety feature. We got rid of them. Why? Oh, so the wheel looks cool. Okay, but the interliner was a safety feature. It was for safety. We removed a safety feature for looks. And like I said, the car itself was not, we had the concussions and the safety issues already. We can go through those, but the biggest thing is it's just I do not like this car. I do not like it. I understand there's a parity thing to it, and I understand that's fine. If you want to do that, literally just go copy the Gen 5, or let's just go copy the Xfinity car. Just go have Dallara or whoever makes this car make that car instead. Just make that car. That's it. That's all you have to do. Go make that car for the Cup Series, and all your problems are solved. You have the answer. That's the part that's so frustrating. They said, what can we do to help our racing product? I know. Let's redesign everything we know and make it into an IMSA car, instead of looking to the series one step below them that puts on the best race every time it's on the racetrack. There is hardly ever an example when the Xfinity Series does not put on a good race and the Cup Series does. Hardly ever does that happen, because it's a good race car. It is good at its job of racing. And for some reason, they said, let's go build an IMSA car designed for street and road courses and race them on ovals. And let's design the entire thing on a computer with no testing. And then when it doesn't work, we'll say, well, we did all our computer we analyzed it on a computer. We can't test because we're not willing to spend any money on it. I mean, it's pathetic. I'm beyond tired of the fact that they just don't seem to care about making it better. I mean, we've already submitted it. Here's what our plans are for the next 2 years. We're going to have 670 horsepower, and we've taken 10% downforce off. There you go, guys. There's your short track package through 2025. And, oh, good Lord, it sucks. That's too bad. I guess we're just going to have sucky short track racing for 2 more years. Like, really? That's it? They literally chopped spoilers off of race cars when the racing sucked. They've gone way more aggressive, but now they can't. They're too worried about pinching their pennies, and it's going to cost them. But as I said, that's a little rant. I'm just ticked off at this race car. I mean, North Wilkesboro is not the problem. That racetrack put on great racing all week, and the second the Cup cars hit the track, it sucked. And it's because the Cup cars are garbage. It's not the drivers. We know it's not the drivers. The drivers were in those late models and those trucks, and they put on great racing in those fields. But the minute the Cup car hit the track, man, it sucked. And that is a huge bummer, because this was a very highly anticipated event. And look, I think it should come back next year. I'm not saying they should not come back to North Wilkesboro. I thought that race was a well-presented race. I think it's kind of the Field of Dreams event. I think it's a very cool event, and it deserves to be on the schedule. But that being said, this car sucks, and this car doesn't deserve to be on the track. They should put the Xfinity Series on there. Xfinity All-Star Race, and just put Cup drivers in Xfinity cars. At this point, that's how bad this car is. It's terrible. I mean, Kyle Larson ran away by 10 seconds. I'm not bothered by that. He had fresher tires, and if that was a car that was dominant, that would be what happens. What drives me nuts is Chase Briscoe being faster than Chase Elliott. I'm a Chase Elliott fan, but I knew Chase Briscoe was faster. Took him 30 laps, 30, to be able to make a pass because of how horrid this car is. It's terrible. I mean, you have to give drivers opportunity to make moves, whether that's through tire fall off, taking care of your tires, so suddenly you're running 0.2 faster than him because you've taken better care of your tires, but because there's only a second of tire fall off in 90 laps, that's not going to happen. Or horsepower, allowing you to just get the better run to get the run on him. Well, we took all that away. Now you're down to 670, which, by the way, the Xfinity Series is 650, so they're only a slightly more horsepower, but they have big, wide tires and more downforce than Xfinity, so, it's not really a huge challenge. Like, I don't know. Someone's going to have to explain to me why the best car for racing in NASCAR is not in its Premier Series. Why are we using a car that outside of Kansas has not put on better racing than the Xfinity Series anywhere? I can't think of anywhere where it's better. I mean, Daytona, Xfinity race was 10 times better. Phoenix, Xfinity race was better. Auto Club, you could argue one versus the other. I'm not sure which one it would be. I would say they're fairly even at Auto Club. Vegas, easy win for the Xfinity car. Bristol, Martinsville, I mean, you name it. The Xfinity car is better at all of those racetracks. Road courses, it's better. I mean, I don't understand. You have a cheaper, more affordable solution that actually has a potential ecosystem. So when you're done with your chassis, you can sell it to a team in the Xfinity Series and they can run it. You have an actual system that allows you to sell your old cars and get money out of them instead of just throwing them in a pile of scrap. I'm frustrated. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at my Bristol weekend that I've penciled off. I haven't bought my tickets yet. And I'm sitting there like, do I really want to go down there for 500 laps of single file racing? I was there last year. 40 laps to go. The minute that Buescher cleared Chase and kind of got in the lead, I knew it was over. All night, no one could pass. No one could pass for the lead until they got to big-time lap traffic, and that took over 70 laps. That's not how it should be. A leader on old tires should not get clear of the lead, and it's over. Hell, in Xfinity it happened, but Brandon Jones was pressuring Noah Gragson for the final 10 laps, and it was edge of your seat racing. The Cup Series had almost the same exact formula. Guy on old tires staying out, new tires behind him, 20 laps, who's going to win? And the minute it was clear, the whole crowd knew, it's over, race is done. He's not going to get there, he has no chance. No chance to get there. This car cannot make moves on short tracks. It's done. They're single file the rest of the race is over with 35 laps to go. And, I mean, I might go down just for the Xfinity and truck race. I mean, I'll stay for the Cup race, don't get me wrong, but that might be the main draw of going to Bristol. That's how bad this car is. So, obviously, I hope they make some adjustments. I hope they make the car better, but it's disappointing because you have the answer. I mean, you have the solution in your hand, and you're just blatantly ignoring it because you can't admit that this monstrosity of a project was a failure. You're not willing to admit failure, and so you're going to try and force this thing to be successful until it bankrupts your sport because it's the stubbornness of it, I guess. I don't know. So overall, like I said, North Wilkesboro gets an A+. They put on a great show. SMI put great renovations into that track. A+ for them too. The Fox booth, Larry Mack being back in there, great. Darrell Waltrip being in there, awesome. Darrell brought some energy that the Fox booth has been missing. People seem to remember, DW was funny. DW wasn't funny. He was energetic. We laughed because of how energetic he was, but he was never trying to be a clown. He was just excited, and that excitement was back in the booth, which was fun to have. And the coverage had some hiccups here or there, but I couldn't even be mad at the broadcast tonight. I was so frustrated at this car. With 50 laps to go in the race, I was just staring at it like we knew it was over. Because not just nobody was going to catch Larson, it was like nobody's going to make any significant gains. Briscoe was the fastest car on the racetrack for like 25 straight laps. Guess what? He moved up 2 spots. And then got caught in dirty air behind Reddick and couldn't go any further forward. The car sucks. And I hate that. I mean, this is the premier series of racing, and the car is junk. They have weak motors, way too much grip in the tires because they made them stupid wide because they want them to look cool instead of looking at how they actually function. And then they bring rock-hard tires that don't wear out. And one would think, well, wait, why didn't you just do a tire test? That's a good question. Why wouldn't you do a couple different tire tests so you could really find a good compound and really narrow in on a softer compound that can wear out? Oh, that's right, that would cost money. And like I said, they're pinching their pennies so tightly that it's costing them. And it's frustrating because as somebody who is dealing with the small business world, I understand that like they always say, you can't step over $1 to pick up a nickel because you're so obsessed with pinching every penny that you're missing out on the potential gain. And that's exactly what's happening in NASCAR, is they are keeping their product worse by not being aggressive in trying to improve it because they're trying to pinch their pennies. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just a fan. I'm no expert on the matter. I'm just a guy that's ranting because he's frustrated at the most hyped event of the year turning into a straight up dud. And like I said, someone who I was thinking about Gateway. Gateway was on my potential list. I thought I might take the little trip down there after tonight. No. I mean, I was at Gateway last year and thought racing wasn't that great. The track put on a great program. The track did all of its jobs right. The car sucked. And so until the car gets fixed, the racing can't get better. And there's nothing the tracks can do about it. And so knowing that, well, my next race is going to be IndyCar of all the cars, I'm going to go watch IndyCar at the Iowa Speedway, because a multi-groove track like that, even with IndyCar, they can make moves throughout the field. The faster cars can work their way forward. IndyCar, the most aerotight series I've ever seen in my life. They're going to be able to move around at Iowa because they have at least a little bit of power under the hood. But the Cup cars can't do squat. Go figure. So, anyway, guys, that'll wrap up the rant. Sorry for going on so long. Just sitting here at about midnight and just frustrated knowing that as much fun as I've had at all the different racetracks, it's just a bummer that to see that this is what they're going to be able to put on and their hands are tied. There's nothing they can do to fix it, because right now it's like Kevin Harvick said in an interview with Kenny Wallace. It used to be if there was a problem, we could solve it in a couple weeks. We could get together and make adjustments and make the thing run right. And now you're 2 years out on any fixes. And that is not an acceptable business model. That's not going to work. You can't wait 2 years to fix a problem, because by 2 years, you're going to lose enough people. It ain't worth, it's too much. So anyway, Indy 500 next week. Really excited for that. I'm excited for the Coke 600 still. I'm still going to watch it. I still like the sport. I'm just a little sour toward this car. I have been sour towards it, and I'm going to continue to be sour towards it until it proves itself worthy as the Xfinity car. So until it can outperform the Xfinity car, I'm not going to put it above it. The Xfinity car is better. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll have a diecast review later today. Stuart Friesen's Texas wins in, so that's kind of a cool one we'll be taking a look at. Thanks for watching, though. We'll see you in the next diecast review.